Wow. Welcome. Wow. Well, you know, it's become a... Yay! Welcome to TacoBagel.
Hey, y'all.
It's tradition now that we start the beginning of every episode with a technical difficulty.
Yeah, we fuck up every time playing the intro music, and I think we're just going to keep it like that.
Yeah, welcome to TacoBagel. Yay!
Yeah, surprise Sunday edition.
What up? It's TacoBagel up in this piece. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah. It is. Welcome to TacoBagel. So, we haven't had a chance to introduce our guests, but I guess they've taken it upon themselves
to introduce
themselves. So today we have a really special episode. This is our first multi-guest episode.
Very excited. Very, very excited.
Yeah, to our left, or my left here, is Domineik.
What up, y'all? What's good? J-Town representing 815 Stay Live. Show.
Yes. And very close friend of the show's, personal, like, hype man, personal, like, best friend, like, star.
Dom's great.
Yeah, Dom is fantastic. Check him out. He also does amazing rap and lyrical related wordplay.
And other lyrical activities.
Yes.
Rap and rap-related activities.
Rap and rap-related activities. Okay. So that's to my right. To my right is a very intimately close friend of the show. And my partner. Oh my God, This is Dom.
We had our first faux pas.
Yeah. I did not forget who he was. This is Donnie, and this is Dom.
Dom. With like 5 M's. Awesome.
And this is Donnie.
And then, if I say Zell, I'm referring to Donnie, so.
Yeah, sometimes people, and by people I mean Dom, just calls Donnie Zell. Yeah, so whatever you prefer. But yeah, today we have a really exciting episode. We're going to be talking a little bit about what's been happening in rap and hip-hop recently. And for those of you who don't know, I am Michelle. I'm the taco to the TacoBagel.
And I'm Steph. I am the bagel to the TacoBagel. We're going to have a really fun dive into the world of some pop culture foolishness.
Yeah. So, let's just get right into it. So basically, we wanted to like center this conversation around what's happening in hip hop right now, and particularly some of the more like problematic things going on with Black men in the community. And I know we had a discussion about this recently about what happened with Nas and Khalid. So I don't know if you have any. I know you have some thoughts on that.
I mean, when I first heard the news, yo, I was just like shocked because Nas for me was like, he was honestly one of probably my biggest hip hop inspiration. You know what I'm saying? So it was kind of like when the news came out, I was like, what? Like, yo, like, gee, like how? Like, why? Like, because Nas, you know what I'm saying? Like, me growing up watching Nas, he was always like low key, laid back, pause type dude, like, yo, what's up? You know what I'm saying? Where's Bond, done? Like, it's Nas. You're here on Rap City in the basement. Word up.
Oh, that was a pretty good Nas.
We have not.
Like, that's how it is. So it shocked me, and it more than anything, it disappointed me because it was almost like a hypocrisy in the sense of, you know, you hear one thing in his rap music, and then like you see another, you know, in his actual life. You feel what I'm saying? So it was a total shock for me.
Yeah, and for those people who don't know what happened, basically, Khalid came out in an interview and basically said that for years, like, Nas had abused her, and she kind of described in detail how he would get really drunk and then, like, physically lash out, and then in the morning he would wake up and just have, like, either no recollection or pretend like it didn't exist. And so a lot of, like, their separation had to do with those, like, repeated behaviors and activities. And so, you know, you should check out the interview. I think Khalid is just very, like, authentic and real and super accountable about, like, you know, her own abusive tendencies. And she said that she also, like, felt like she had to physically lash out to defend herself. And so, like, I mean, I was in shock, but, like, I wasn't in shock. Because, like, it's, like, always disappointing, but it's never a surprise, like, when you hear about shit like that.
I feel like with him, though, he was someone that always, like, was really focused on the type of person he like projected himself to be. Like he always like stayed in character, like in interviews and at concerts and stuff. I think everybody just kind of thought like that was the guy, like that's who he was like off the stage.
Yeah.
And like we're starting to learn nowadays that like these people are like people and
Wow.
they have their own issues and stuff, and they're not always those same people that we kind of looked up to.
Yeah. And that's the danger with like putting these like celebrities on a pedestal, right? It's like
Yes.
you idolize and you have these people kind of as like your heroes throughout your life, and then when you find out they're really fucked up, you're like, who do I look to, right?
And it's messed up like what he did, but like I want to see him like take some accountability. Like I don't want him to become one of those people that just like stay silent about it.
For sure.
I want him to like come out and be like, look, I did this, it was messed up, and here's the thing I'm doing to like work on it, like be better. But I have this like bad feeling that he's just not going to say anything because obviously I think he's like in some like child support court, isn't that right? Custody battle.
Yeah.
So I don't think he's going to come out during that time period because they're probably going to use that against him if he admits to doing stuff like that. So I don't know. I hope that he comes out and says something.
Yeah, because it's like because to me it feel like my G, like he's stunting. You know what I'm saying? You doing one thing in your hip hop, you know what I'm saying? Lyrics is like, the track on it was written like Black Girl Lost, and then like some of the stuff he said in other songs like I Know Why I Can. Like, you know what I'm saying? To me that was stuff that was like encouraging of black women and stuff like that. But then like here you are, you know what I'm saying? Being on some domestic abuse. Can I cuss?
Yeah.
All right. On some shit, fuck ass. Anyway, he was on some domestic abuse type shit, and it wowed me out. And then when the allegations came out, he had posted something on Instagram, basically saying like, basically positive vibes only. You know what I'm saying? Just worried about me and my child, and it's just like, come on, bro. Like, we need some more accountability. You know what I'm saying? We need. You're going to try to sit here and go at other rappers and how whack they are for some of the stuff they do. Like, come on, bro. Like, we need that same kind of energy from you.
And to me, it was really fucked up because right after they separated, I remember Nas came out with an album, and on the cover of that album, he had like a
dress. Wedding dress draped over his leg.
Yeah, it was like the dress that Khalid left in their house.
Like, like a lot of the album like surrounds around his like getting over that relationship and like trying to be like, like I grown up, whatever.
Yeah,
but
and he garnered
like
so much sympathy around that.
Yeah,
that's like retroactively really ugly.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
and it's not to like invalidate or say that he didn't hurt or wasn't hurt by that separation, because I think it was like real. Like any separation with someone that you've been with is like obviously really difficult. But I don't know. I would say I'm disappointed. I know he had a new album that was like you
that's
were saying.
The double whammy.
Yeah.
First of all, this whole thing came out. That's bad enough. But then after 6-7 years, this guy's finally dropping a new album, and who else is producing it other than Kanye West?
Bro!
Oh my God!
And my thing is, like, if this dude is so politically active and stuff, this dude knew where Kanye stood when he was making his album with him. Yeah. So I'm disappointed in him from that aspect, because like you have other dudes like, I don't want to get off the subject of Nas, but like other people like T.I. and John Legend, all them like talk to this dude. This dude Nas still having this man credited on his album. Like, come on, like he's been out here rapping about all this. Like he made that Untitled album when he like had like the imagery of like the whip on his back and all that. He had like the album with Damian Marley, like all these very pro-black like pieces of music. But then he's gonna like, oh well, Kanye's a legend, so I'm just gonna put him on here just because like you knew where he stood.
Yeah, bro. It's like and on top of that, like the dude you used to have the rap beef with Jay distances himself from Ye for a reason. If y'all don't know what I'm talking about when I say Ye, Kanye. You know what I'm saying? He distanced himself from Kanye for a reason. You should have took Q after the same dude you battle rap distanced himself from somebody. You should have been like, all right, Jay, don't rock with me no more. That means something. You know what I'm saying? But here you go, you making records with him? It's like, come on now. It's like you Illmatic for life, but
I think Jay-Z distancing spoke like volume, because that was the guy that like he looked up to. That was the guy that like put him on. Like that's one of the main reasons like he's at where he is today because of Jay-Z. So for him to like, I don't think he was like invited to his wedding, like things like that. So I'm just like, wow, like, this dude must really have like said some bad problematic things.
Yeah.
I think they even Kanye and Kim Kardashian sent Beyonce and Jay-Z a child like some kind of like
a child.
gift. A child gift.
Now they sent it back.
After they had their babies or their twins or something, they sent them gifts and they sent it back.
Oh.
Like, of all the fucking things, like
I mean, I would send something from Kim Kardashian back.
Yeah. But like, you know, it's just like I think I have a lot of respect for the fact that like Jay-Z and Beyonce, like they're very low key. Like I used to give Beyonce, Jay-Z a lot of shit, but I'm retroactively taking that back because like they had been really low key. They donated to like Black Lives Matter, getting activists out of prison, things like that.
Yeah.
And they've been very low key about it, but they're like very clear about where they stand, like in their principles and so yeah.
Which is important for people who like are not only just in the public eye, but basically worshipped in the public eye.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it was a dope thing for me growing up listening to Jay-Z to see the kind of mental and emotional progress he's made, not only as an artist, but as a human being. You know what I'm saying? It's like listening to that 444 album. Like it's messed up because so many times as men, you know, we wait till it's convenient for us to change and become compassionate, you know what I'm saying, about people who aren't like us. You know what I mean? Because, like, he came out with that 444 album, like, what? How old is Jay? Like, he's in his, like, late 40s?
Jay-Z?
Yeah.
He's like 46 or something like that, 47, something like that.
All right, for sure. And it's just like, you know, it's dope that, you know, it sucks that it took this long, but at the same time, it's kind of like for me specifically, it's like a sign of relief that, you know, I see this kind of maturity coming from him because it's like he grew, you know what I'm saying, with his fans. He grew with, you know, time, you know what I'm saying? Whereas for somebody like Nas, you would think that would be the different role, but like, you know, this whole situation he got going on, it's like, dude, like, you stuck.
The stuff he raps about seems to have progressed, but like the actual guy seems like the same dude.
That's what
was like
Khalif was
15
saying.
years. Like you like watch how he says things and like the way he acts. He still acts like very much the same.
Yeah, but that's what Khalif was saying. She was like, at the end of the day, the big issue is that he never changed. He's the same man that I married, you know, or that I initially married, which is like that's not how people are supposed to be. You're supposed to grow.
And they had a pretty big age difference, didn't they?
I think so. She was like young, right?
Because then he was just recently with Nicki Minaj, and she's definitely like
Yeah, ooh, Nas was born in 1974. So what would that make him now?
He's like 43 or 44.
1974.
Like
that's
that.
like
Yeah.
That's 44. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think he's gonna be 44 or something this year.
That's like, you know, not young.
Yeah, and I think Nicki Minaj is like what, like 30? I think
Nicki Minaj is
31, something like that.
Really?
Something like that.
When did that happen? Okay.
I mean, they've been around for a while. I mean, her
Khalif?
and Jake
I have no
and
concept
Khalif?
of
all
time.
those
I'm a
guys,
trans
like,
person.
Khalif is 38, Nas is 44.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
So,
that's not that
It's not
much.
That's not
terrible.
Oh,
But-
oh, dang, Nicki Minaj is 35.
Yeah.
Nicki Minaj is 35?
Yeah.
When did that happen?
Yeah.
This man is old.
Dr.
Oh,
Dre.
yeah, Dr. Dre.
53 years old, but he looks old. So, yeah, Max is 47. Yo, he looks good for 47.
I don't know if that's
Nah,
true.
yeah, that's a recent picture
Oh.
of DMX.
Damn, all right.
Yeah.
Well, that's unfortunate then.
DMX has been through the trenches as a
I thought the age difference was a little more, but I guess because I thought in her interview she said something like I was much younger than him or something like. Didn't she say something?
When-
like
when
that?
I
did they
think
meet?
when they first met, that was like 20
Oh, because
years
maybe
ago.
she was like,
Because like 6 years is not a big difference if you're like in your 40s or
Yeah.
30s,
That's
but when
true.
if you meet
Yeah.
and you're like one of
in
you
your
like
late teens, early
Right.
20s, yeah.
then that's a
Right.
big age difference.
Yeah.
Right, I agree.
But I want to say, and I want to say a couple of episodes ago, we had this segment called Problematic
Oh
Babe,
yeah, I remember that.
and I picked Kanye West as my problematic babe, and like I
That
think
didn't age well.
it did not. Yo, it did
Should've
not.
went with Eminem.
No, no, don't tell anybody I like Eminem. I feel exposed right now.
I'm changing mine too. I thought about it. Like the only person I could think of was Lady Gaga, but my problematic babe is probably Carly Rae Jepsen because she's a white woman. And there's got to be something wrong with her. But I really love Carly Rae.
What? But she's like not
Didn't she
relevant
have one
enough.
song?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
She's very relevant to white trans people, and that's pretty much it. Even though she's not trans or queer, as far as we know.
For sure.
Interesting.
Well,
Our culture is weird.
I'm sure your problematic fave has aged better than mine. Cause since then, he's not even on my fave list anymore. Like, this man just continually spirals more and more. And
Yeah.
I mean, you got to give him credit though. When he spirals in a very Kanye way. Like he doesn't give it halfway.
Yeah.
Like this was a Kanye West spiral.
It was, but out of all the things I could say about that man, and his like foolery. It's like the thing that makes me the most mad is like this. He like really believes like that he's like this free thinker, and I see other people of color that say some of the same things. They're like, oh, like I'm in this new realm of free thinking. I don't have to like be voting for Democrats. Like I'm gonna go vote Republican just for the heck of it. Like that's not free thinking. You're just doing what you think you're like doing something that you think everybody like thinks you shouldn't do. So that makes you a free thinker. That doesn't make you a free thinker. That makes you a follower.
Yeah.
Like you're going by someone else's like lead. You're acting based off of how society's telling you not to act just for the sake of it.
And like
that is not free thinking.
And the way like I want to say like those series of tweets, like if they existed in a vacuum, some of them might be valid. Like when Chance came out and he said like black people don't have to be Democrats.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that.
Valid,
but in the context of the situation, there's a lot of things wrong with
right.
that.
And Chance like stuck a foot out there and then immediately
this dude, like him coming out and saying all these things, like posting pictures of the hat and the tweets, like it like reinforced that like some people look at like African Americans like a monolith. Like everybody like is Kanye likes Trump, so like everybody, all you guys should like Trump, all you should like him. And it's like, and I see like Donald Trump tweeted like, oh, this is a great cultural moment. And like Donald Trump Jr. is like, oh, this is a great cultural change. Like what kind of culture? All because one dude. One guy said that Donald Trump is some kind of great man. Right. This is not a cultural change. Like people need to hold this dude accountable. Like I'm on the level right now at like today where like I can't even listen to this dude's music anymore. Yeah. Like, back in the day, like it was refreshing to hear him because like in like the late 2000s, I was in high school and like a lot of the music then was like a lot of like trap and like I don't know, it was like a lot of stuff that like I personally like couldn't relate to being in the suburbs. But like Kanye came out and like back in the day, like I wasn't allowed to like listen to music with cursing and all that. But like graduation drop, like, it was more towards like the clean. Like it didn't have like a lot of like that like subject matter that my parents would be like, oh, about.
It was like cooler Will Smith.
Yeah.
It was really poppy and stuff. So like
I kind of edgy though. It was just edgy, but I know what you're saying. It wasn't like gangster rap.
Yeah, it wasn't like that. It was like
I was listening to it.
Yeah, I can listen to these songs and like not have my parents like saying. But like that's when I started like liking him a little more, and he did say some problematic stuff back then. But it was like, all right, like everybody has their own bad things that they say, right. And he did call out George Bush, which I'm definitely a fan of.
I don't even think I was a fan of it at the time. I think at the time I had a lot of respectability. I was like, oh wow, like this is really out here. And then
I hated Bush back then.
I mean, I hated Bush too.
I was like, I hate this man.
I hated Bush too, but I was like, oh my god, like this is. And now I'm like, oh, of course, yeah.
Like, but also like, what happened? Like, how do you get from George W. Bush doesn't care about black people to like having a MAGA hat?
I think though, if you think about it, like even back then, he was still doing what he thought people wouldn't want him to do.
Yeah.
A black man going on national TV saying the president is good. They don't want me to do that, but I'm going to go do it. Right. They don't want Donald Trump to win, but he won anyway, so I respect him.
Right.
Even though I don't know anything about his politics, because I apparently T.I. said he didn't even know about the travel ban.
Yeah.
Clearly, this dude is not an intellectual. He doesn't follow.
But how separated from reality? Like how rich and famous and separated from reality you have to be to not know about something that huge?
Right. Like, I saw this great Twitter thread about that. It was like for people like Kanye, who, like you're saying, are like extremely wealthy, extremely famous, just completely separated from society in that way, because they essentially like they live in their own society. They live in like the bourgeois society that doesn't have problems in that same way.
Right.
And for them to not even know about things that like even other famous people were talking about. Like, there were a whole bunch of, like, very, very, very famous and prominent people who came out against the Muslim ban. Mm-hmm. And for Kanye to not even know about that, that means Kim didn't know about that. That means none of the whatever their faces are knew about that. Mm-hmm. That means that he hadn't spoken to Caitlyn Jenner, which is fine. He's never spoken to Caitlyn Jenner. Who like still loves Trump and Ted Cruz for this. She's weird. I don't care.
Caitlyn Jenner, I thought she was like, at first she was like pro-Trump and then was like appalled that all this anti-trans legislation was being passed and was like, oh my goodness.
Caitlyn Jenner is like an ostrich. She's just like, she keeps her head firmly buried in the sand until she realizes that people have stopped to care about her. But like, I was
going to say, I have a question for you two, like regarding the Kanye thing. So, this dude's always talking about, like, oh, Chicago's my home, but, like, people are killing each other down. There's all this bad violence going on down there. But I claim Chicago. So you're from Joliet, right? Yeah. So you're from Chicagoland. So you're still in the vicinity. You're from Chicago. What has this man done for the city?
No.
Shit ain't shit.
Bro, like, no, honestly, like, that man, everybody from Chicago low-key knew that man wasn't from Chicago. Like, it was never a big secret, but when he was, like, the old Kanye, we were like, all right, like, we'll claim Kanye. But now we're like, oh, nah, that dude's from Oak Brook.
Yeah, like, cause, like, on the real, like, when I first heard Ye off top, like, I was like, what was it? Like, it was like 2002, 2003, some type shit like that. And I was just like, oh shit, he cold. Like, this is like he a New York type cat. It was like, nah, he from Chicago. I was like, what?
No,
like,
that's Midwest rap though. You can tell that's Midwest, like.
Not at the time, because like, think about it, like the most dominant artists from Chicago at the time were like Twista, Do or Die. You even had a Crucial Conflict that was kind of like relatively relevant on an underground scene. You know what I'm saying? So it was like Midwest rap was generally like double speed, you know what I'm saying, type rap. It had like a G-funk kind of.
It didn't really have that like soulful element to it yet.
Yeah, not necessarily quite yet. Like you did from guys like Common, but that was like when Common had moved to New York. You know what I'm saying? So Common sound had became very different.
And Kanye was producing a Common album.
He produced like some of his best beats were on like Common's album.
Yeah, so it was just like when I found out he's from Chicago, I was like, man, that dude ain't from Chicago. And it's just like, ain't to find out, like, oh. But what part? So,
he never says a specific, because Chance will like say a specific like where he's from, but like you never hear Kanye really saying that.
Right, and that's why, you know what, like I gave Chance some leeway in his response. I feel like he reacted out of kind of like this loyalty / protection to Kanye, which I don't think was like necessarily right, but he came out with like this really extensive like apology. You
didn't see Vic Mensa say anything though.
Yeah, but
and also Kanye.
Here's what I'm gonna say about this. So there were people that were tagging like Chance and Vic and whatever online, saying like, "Come collect your boy." I don't think it's their job to come be accountable for Kanye West. Kanye West is his own fucking man.
I don't think it's their job to be accountable. I think it is their. I don't know if it's their job, but like if that's like my mentor, that's my friend. Like I think they have some responsibility because they have a connection with him to like be like, what's going on?
But that's their mentor.
Like, does it work like that?
I don't know.
Because if that's their mentor, that's, you know, like Chance calls Kanye his family, right? Like not to
but
say
like
that we.
Jay-Z is like Kanye's mentor, and he kind of Jay-Z.
Oh, great. But what I'm saying is, it's like for me, it's like you can't. People have to hold themselves accountable, right? Mm-hmm. You can't tag every black person, black artist, every, you know, like you said, it's not a monolith. You can't have every other person come collect every other black person. It's like you said, Kanye is one black voice and like a sea of black artists and rappers.
I think like people need to get past this like thing of like Kanye's too big for like us to lose him. Like this dude, like he can definitely be lost. Like I'm sorry, like people can stop listening to this dude's music. Like in order for him to be held accountable, I don't really know what the solution needs to be. All I know is if people keep playing his music, I don't care if it's his new stuff or if it's his old stuff. He's still going to be getting Spotify listens. He's still going to be getting YouTube views. And he's still going to have his platform. And, like, if people are going out and hearing his songs, like, oh, yeah, like, I like Kanye. Like, his music's good. But, like, that has nothing to do with what he said. So I'm just going to keep listening to him. It's like normalizing his views.
Yeah, because it's like, my thing is this. First and foremost, Kanye keeps having this emphasis on being a free thinker. We have to be careful that a lot of times as people of color, sometimes free thinker or open-minded can just be code for thinking white. Because so many times as black and brown people will, you know, we, you know, have our beliefs, you know what I'm saying, about our own liberation. And somebody might, like, we'll say Black Lives Matter. And a white person will say, well, come on, can't you just be more open-minded? Like, can't you see outside the picture and consider both sides? You know what I'm saying? And it's like...
There's violence on both sides.
Right, yeah, let's say some shit like that. And like, no, because I've heard that story my entire life. Yeah. So, Ye talking that free thinking shit, like, is phony. You know what I'm saying?
Man, I, like, swear, like, this dude, he, like, acts like he's so out here for the black community, but I didn't hear anything from that man after Trayvon Martin, after Laquan McDonald, after anything that happens. I don't hear that dude say anything. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And there are other rappers out there that, like, whether it's performative or not, they are out here. Like, I know J. Cole was out there marching. Yeah. I know, like, Kendrick said stuff. Vic Mensa was out there, like, going and, like, at it with the police. Like, these guys are actually out here doing stuff.
Yeah. Right. And then the other thing, too, I like, not to cut you off, but I have to say this. It's like, because I also noticed a lot of people were looking at Kim Kardashian for why Kanye is the way he is. Mm-hmm. And despite Kim K, says mad, problematic type shit, you cannot put it on her for why Kanye is the person that he is. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? He is accountable for his own actions, responsible for his own things that he does off top. Right. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of people, or like even people were saying like, maybe if his mother was still around, he'd be different, or like, blaming like mental illness. And it's like, Kim K confirmed that Kanye's not mentally ill. He had therapy sessions. Like, she told on him herself, you know what I'm saying, on Twitter. So it is like...
And there's so many problems with all of it. Like, one, there are hella people with mental health issues that don't behave this way. It's like mental health is something that affects a lot of people. And two, I think it, like, dehumanizes Kanye and his agency to say that everybody else is at fault for the way he, like, behaved. And somebody wrote this really great status. I think it was like a black woman. I don't remember the name, but she was basically saying like black women are not your like keepers, right? Like Kanye's mother is not here, didn't die so that people could be like, oh, he is the way he is because of her death. Her sole purpose in life wasn't to keep him anchored. Yeah. Right. And so like I think that's really important. And like it's a little different with Kim Kardashian because I think she has a lot of problems. Yeah. And she has a lot more power. But I also feel like, no, like Kanye is his own person. Y'all can't keep blaming the Kardashians and Jenner for like, he made the decision to marry this woman on his own. Like he pursued her. So it's like, like it's weird because it's like this weird balance between like, holding someone shitty accountable like Kim Kardashian and also being like, wait a minute, that's kind of misogynistic. Like,
right, because it's like, it's like, it's so many times that we put, the responsibility of men's emotions, men's actions, and all of that on women, because that's like that one quote I used to always hear. I think it's like behind every great man, every great woman, or some type shit like that. And it's just like, well, what are we really saying when we say stuff like
they're
that?
In the shadows or something like that?
You know what I'm saying? Right. So it's just like, because let's think about it. Are the roles, like, if the roles are switched, how often will we hear a quote like that? You know what I'm saying? Like, do we kind of put men to that same standard? More often than not, no. Absolutely right. So it's just like, nah, like, I'm not about to sit here and put the blame on Kim K for how Kanye react. Well, I mean, how Kanye act, because it's like, bro, that's your shit, not hers. Okay, so you need to flush that. You know what I'm saying? Off top. So
I'm interested to see where this goes in the future. I know you were telling me, Michelle, about he had some like shoe event in Australia and no one showed up.
Yeah.
And like I know there's been a handful of people like Travis Scott, Kendrick Lamar, and some other people that have like unfollowed him on Twitter. So like I don't necessarily know what that means.
Even Justin Bieber.
I don't know what that means. All I can hope is that
that's a tight spiral in Justin.
All I can hope is that these people aren't going to collaborate with this man anymore. And like there's gonna be like something like tangible has to happen for this dude to like wake up and realize like the damage that he's done.
Yeah.
And like
his money has to be affected essentially.
Yeah, his money, not just that. I think his ego and his like his pride and his like fame. I think that's what's gonna be even worse.
He cares about that a lot more than his money.
Yeah,
And this is
so people will collab with him. I think he's gonna like notice. He's gonna be like, all right.
And this is the thing is that like I feel like you're probably better about this than I am. But when I hear old Kanye music, I still want to like dance to it.
So do I. Like sometimes you'll catch yourself singing along, like look, All Falls Down or something. But
like no, but what I'm saying is like I probably have to do a better job because if that's just coming from like Spotify, like you're saying, he's still getting money, and it's like for me, it's almost like I don't know if it's just me, but I've been hearing a lot of Kanye.
I've been hearing a lot of his old stuff.
Yeah, old stuff, and so it's like it feels like, and this is what I was saying, it feels like people are like mourning. But, like, that mourning process is still, like...
It's still normalizing what he did. Like, this dude co-signed white supremacy. Like, he put on, like, the little Make America Great Again hat, which is, like, modern-day, pretty much Ku Klux Klan hat. Like, I'm sorry. Like,
it's a red, white hood.
Yeah, and so, like, and he's out here and there's, like, old raps rapping about, like, racism is, like, still alive. They're concealing it and, like, all those lyrics. And, like, you hear that again, and it's, like, I just can't listen to it the same. Because before I was like, yeah, like, I agree with this. Like, he's finally saying, like, some good, real stuff here. But, like, now when I listen to it, I'm like, this dude's a fraud. Like, how's he going to sit here and say that and then be, like, a puppet for, like, Donald Trump out here? Yeah. Like, how is he going to rap about, oh, we're the new slaves? Like, man, like, you're turning into one.
Exactly. And it's like, the thing is I see so many people caping for, yeah, like, you know, separating the art from the artist. Here's the thing about hip hop. First and foremost, I want to tell y'all motherfuckers who don't know what fucking hip hop is or ain't really dealing with hip hop at all, besides like the 5 artists you listen to. In hip hop, credibility matters more than anything, because hip hop is not just a music genre, it's a culture and also a sport. You know what I'm saying? So it's like everything that you say, it's like this. If you're an artist and you're speaking something as if it is real, then say you're an artist, so then a person listening to you can understand how to listen to that music. But if you are saying, oh, I'm 100% real, you know what I'm saying, I'm solid in these streets and all this and that, then me personally, I'm going to take your word as you know what I'm saying, candid, you know what I'm saying? And I'm going to be listening to this and I'm expecting, like for example, Rick Ross.
I knew you were going to go there.
Yeah, Officer Ricky ass. So it's just like, you sitting here saying you, and mind you, I never condone this type of stuff or sit here and glamorize it myself. But it's like, if you're sitting here saying, I know the real Noriega, he owe me 100 favors. If you're saying shit like that, or like, you got coke in the back of the truck, and a picture come out, or you're a correctional officer, it's like, where does the line, like...
And it's like, not his, like, if he didn't really do those things, and he didn't have to, like, go through that struggle, that's, like, not his, like, struggle to profit off of.
Exactly. So it's just like, and then the thing is, if he would have just came out flat out and said, I'm just an artist, I'm just doing it for entertainment, I would have took it differently. But you said, yo, I keep it real. You sit here saying, this is me all the way. Then 50 Cent exposes a picture of you, you know, as a correctional officer. And it's like, bro, I can't look at you the same, because that's fake as hell. Like, and a person who, somebody who has like experiences with that life, it's like, I took that personally. So it's just like, no, I can't listen to you. I can't even respect you. If I seen you, I wouldn't be happy. I'm not, like. And
I feel like, speaking to your point, like, credibility has literally, or lack of credibility has destroyed entire, like, rap careers. Like, if you're not out here, like, really being authentic to what you're, like, saying in your songs, like, people will clock you, like, fast.
Right. Because it's like, for me, that was kind of the same thing with Kanye. It's just like, you know, in your early career, you had a lot of very pro-black statements. You know what I'm saying? For example, George Bush doesn't care about black people. When I first saw that, I was cracking up, because like Chris Tucker's like reaction. But it's just like, you know,
the first song on College Dropout, even We Don't Care.
Yeah. It's like, but then
first song.
Yeah, and then like many years later, you know, now you're out here rocking with Trump and saying these very like colorblind statements, and it's like, bro, it's like, I can't even listen to you the exact same. And for me, frankly, a lot of people sit here and say Kanye's a genius. Look, Kanye was never the greatest at anything that he did in any time of rap in his career, period. I know that's a very unpopular opinion, but that's on some real shit.
So heard it on TacoBagel.
Yeah, so it's like, yes, he's great. He's one of the greats musically, but it's just like, as the greatest of anything that he's done, whether it be production,
and you're saying any time period.
I
might have to disagree in terms of like the producing.
Yep.
I'm curious to hear like who you think was better in that, because I'd say maybe 2003 to like 2008.
It was so
who was a better producer than that man?
Sean Money XL. I would say RZA. He was still relevant. Let me think of some other artists. Havoc from Mobb Deep.
Okay, but would you say
Lil Jon?
Would you say
Lil Jon was responsible for a whole era of music? Crunk music was
Lil Jon.
Yeah.
Well, and it's interesting. Before all this other shit happened, Lil Jon went on, and didn't he win The Apprentice or something?
Some crazy. I don't know. Like
he won a season of The Celebrity Apprentice.
Holy shit! I did not know that.
Okay, but also Lil Jon you're telling me Lil Jon was a better producer?
He was. His production was much more impactful than Kanye's production alone. Because think about it, like now.
I know what you're saying.
Think about it. Kanye was using samples, and he was just speeding up the pace of the samples so he wouldn't get hit with, you know what I'm saying, lawsuits and stuff like that. And it was a very soulful type sound. But that sound is no different from what Tribe Called Quest was doing.
Or even like Wu-Tang back in like
or No ID and Chilla.
Okay.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Whereas Lil Jon, the high synthesizers, the high energy type of production.
So would you say Metro Boomin is kind of doing the same thing now?
No, because here's the thing. Because Jon's focus was synthesizers. Metro Boomin, while he does take some influences slightly from Lil Jon, you can tell the production is different because it's trap.
No, but I'm saying, like, would you say, like, Metro Boomin's, like, the kind of, like, how you think of Lil Jon? Because I kind of think he's, like,
as a responsible
influence, like, current,
yeah.
you know, like, 21 Savage, Ray Shremmer, like, all
for
that.
sure. Absolutely, because it's just, like, because, you know, there's a difference, like, you could be a great rapper, but when you have an impact on the culture in and of itself, that is just on another level. You know what I'm saying?
I see what you're saying.
That's why a lot of times you will have people who will say Jay-Z is a better artist than Nas. They're not saying necessarily that Jay-Z is a better rapper overall, but he's done more impact for the culture than say Nas had. Despite Nas might have Illmatic, you know what I'm saying, and Stillmatic. You know, Jay-Z, you know, he had Rock Nation, he had Rockefeller Records, the Rockaware brand, he had the shoe deal. You know what I'm saying?
He built on
He
his
was a
brand.
better businessman.
Yeah.
Yeah, like,
brand a lot better.
right, and then him just being out there in the public eye and stuff like that. Even like with this 444 album, you know what I'm saying? Just putting it out there and just showing like rap hip hop artists that, yo, it's okay for you to mature. It's okay for you to grow. Because even when he was talking about his mother, you know, coming out as I think lesbian, I believe, it's like most, like, damn near every single rap artist I've ever listened to would dare to even touch that subject matter. You know what I'm saying? So it's like for him to even come out and talk about that, you know, and how that made him feel, that was very vulnerable, you know what I'm saying, and real. So that's why a lot of people would say, you know, Jay is a better artist than not. It's more so about the impact rather than just the talent in and of itself.
So at the end of the day, you're saying out of all Kanye's done, he's never been the best at anyone. You think he's giving him too much credit?
Like yeah, I feel like he we all know like Ye overrates himself all the time, you know. And
you know, I heard some. I don't know if it was you that told me this or somebody told me, like, anytime you hear that man list who his heroes are, it's always like old white dudes.
Yeah.
Walt Disney.
Yeah, I was the one.
Walt Disney?
Oh, he always
Disney,
says Walt
Steve
Disney.
Jobs.
Walt Disney didn't like do with people, didn't he?
Walt Disney was a Nazi.
Yeah.
A straight up Nazi.
Yeah, that's what I think of when I think of like Walt Disney the man. That's exactly what I think of.
He was a straight up Nazi.
Because I'm like, man, people act like this dude's a saint. Like, this dude's ugly.
No, he was a straight up Nazi.
And who else? Thomas Edison, maybe? Like, something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
Steve Jobs.
Thomas Edison was also a fuck.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's like that's when I noticed something was turning for Kanye, because it's just like, yo, like, you don't never name any like black heroes or black, like, you know what I'm saying, people that you look up to. You know what I'm saying? So it's like something's going on here, and that's when I noticed. So it's like when he came out and was a Trump supporter, it's like I was disappointed, definitely, but was I surprised? Not fully.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because I had seen the signs there before.
Well, we saw him meet with him when Trump got inaugurated too, and that's when and he came out with that Slim Shady hair, and I was like, "What's going on with this guy?"
Oh, I remember. Oh no.
Right, and then even for him to
Blondie.
yeah.
And then,
And then it's like even for him to like, you know, be with Kim and knowing how Kim is and her total disregard for
people.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, you want to sit here and dress, walk, talk, and act like black women, but you don't want to, you know what I'm saying, pay dues to black women. You don't want to acknowledge them. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're a culture vulture.
Explicitly steal from them.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? And then Kanye, you mayor, and I feel like who you affiliate with a lot of times depicts who you are as a person. And you being okay with that was another clue for me. It was like, yeah, something's going on.
I think something that a lot of people I like encounter struggling with is like separating people from like the politics. Because I know some people are like, oh, well, I kind of mess with Trump. I like how he acts, but like I don't like the stuff he does politically. Or like I'll get mad like sometimes because like there's certain athletes that I don't mess with, like Tom Brady or Rob Gronkowski. And the reason is because Brady had the Trump hat in his locker, and Rob Gronkowski posts on Instagram about like he's like fist bumping Trump, like make America great again. And like I say the same thing about Kanye, like, you know, he went co-signed this man. It's like people don't understand. They're like, oh well, we don't want to mix like politics and sports, or we don't want to mix like politics and music. And they don't get that like when you're a person of color, like politics is very much ingrained in like your life. And like
exactly.
And a lot of the people that say these things, the stuff that's happening doesn't affect them. And so I think a lot of people like need some educating, like don't understand in how supporting a presidency like this, having a hat in your locker, like going and showing off that you had a signed Trump hat, they don't understand how like that normalizes some of the behavior that's going on, how like you having this man's product and supporting him is letting people that he's hurting down. Like you're letting people down by doing that.
Right.
It's like hard for people to understand, and I don't get it.
You're creating space for like these behaviors to continue, and I think one of the people that we said we were going to talk about is Chris Brown, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who like for years has exhibited like abusive, really fucked up, toxic behaviors towards women. I mean, towards people in general, but towards women specifically. And is still able to like sell out concerts and make music, and it's like, why wasn't this man like fucking canceled years ago? Like,
that's the same with our
no, go ahead.
No, but like I was saying, like this is exactly what I was saying about Kanye. This dude came out, like you see Rihanna's bruised face. After that, I remember my dad came, he's like, I'm not listening to that dude's music anymore, this dude's trash. And I was like, I agree, like, yeah, this dude's garbage. And like when his songs come on, like me, like I'll turn it off because I don't want to hear that dude. And there's other people I know that were like, oh well, he said sorry, he went on BT and did that little performance where he cried and acted like what did this dude really do? Did he take accountability? Did he like donate money to like, programs that help women that went through domestic? Did he speak about it and like what he learned? I didn't see any of those things. And the dude kept making music and people still listened to him and they kind of was like, well, you messed up, but like I still like that's my thing. Like in order for these people to be held accountable, you got to stop making them relevant. You got to stop listening to them. You got to stop following on Twitter. You got to stop paying attention to them. But like, I don't even know if that's possible.
Yeah, because it's like, honestly, I feel like a lot of times when we say the word accountable, like sometimes I feel like people don't understand what we're exactly saying. Mm-hmm. It's like when I say people need to be held accountable, what I mean is that you need to make space for the people that you harm. Not only that, you need to acknowledge the trash behaviors that you committed, and you need to really reflect on them. You need to look at yourself. And, if you're going to do damage publicly, not only do you need to apologize publicly, but that process needs to be shown publicly. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So your people get to see this side of you instead of you just being
the person who's like hurt, I would say would like want that.
Yeah.
I know Michelle like talks a lot about like restorative justice and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like I'm like learning more about that. But like if he like got together with I know some people like, oh, well, they made a song together, so that means she's okay. Like
damage control.
I don't know. It's like
that's damage control a lot of times.
Right now, Chris Brown is supposedly is being like tried for I want to say kidnapping and assault. Like because there was like a situation where he held this party and multiple women were saying that they were forced to like stay at this party and perform sexual acts on different people in this party, and basically they were like held hostage. And it's like like time and time again, this man has done fucked up things, but when Rihanna like first came out with her bruised ass face, like that shit was real graphic. Like that was really disturbing. And they're like,
oh, what if she hit him? I didn't see any bruises on that man's face. Not like that. Not like that.
Like, even that's like it doesn't even matter. Like just seeing that. I remember seeing that picture. I got heated. I was like, hey, we gonna find out where he stay at. Like, yo, what they call him, where he from. Like, we gonna see where CD at. So it's just like
you and Drake. Drake tried to run up on Chris Brown in a very Drake-like fashion.
Yo, you and your dude, that's doing.
Yo, it's just like, man, like, yo, it bugs me, yo, and it's just like, and the fact that I saw so many men with those questions. Well, what did she do? Maybe she did this.
We didn't hear all the facts yet.
Yeah, we didn't hear all the facts yet. And it just made me realize, like, us men ain't shit. So it's like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it was real foul. And then, like, he's constantly has done problematic stuff and just trash stuff overall. And it shows, like, here's the thing. In order, if people are going to get over things, like, you need to understand, like, are your actions from the past relevant to who the person you are today is? Mm-hmm. All that stuff is still relevant to Chris Brown. It doesn't matter if he apologized or not. Because if you say sorry, you still do the same things or do stuff that is related to what you've done, it doesn't mean shit. Yeah. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Which is like this case that Chris Brown is going through right now. It's like, bro, you still haven't got it. You still haven't understood what's going on. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, and to me, quite frank, I know you think this shit is a motherfucking game because me personally, I ain't forgot about some fake blood shit you was doing up in the club some years ago. I'm sorry, I gotta bring that shit up. I'm just saying.
Okay, and this is what I'm gonna say about that. I think more importantly, at the end of this kind of like segment, like I think it's really important for men to kind of hold other men accountable, right?
Absolutely.
Because women have been saying, like, you know,
This is
women.
our whole fucking job is holding men accountable all the time.
And I especially,
no one really listens.
I especially want to like uplift like Black women, because Black women have done some of the most work to like, you know, they've been behind like the Mute R. Kelly movement, like they've been doing a lot of work, like trying to say the same things that basically now people are kind of like, oh shit, like this is happening. But it's like,
it's taken us, what, like 10, 15 years to listen to Black women about some of this stuff?
Yeah, and it's like, it's fucked up because, like, I feel like, especially Black men, right? If Black men were out here kind of, like, holding, like, each other accountable, and I mean, obviously all men need to hold each other accountable, but I hear, and this is something I told Donnie, I told this when we first, like, met each other, and I was like, look, we can go somewhere, and I can literally say something to someone, and you can come up behind me and say the exact same thing. And the second that you say that to a man, they're going to listen.
It's weird. It's like I had like the magical words, like, oh yes, I agree.
Like
all of a sudden, like,
it's
like some magical force comes over him, like that spell in Harry Potter. I don't know what that little spell is that makes people like
in Harry Potter.
Yeah, the suggestion that they use.
Yo, and this is so ugly. Like, we were at a party the other day, and this ugly ass dude tried to come up and say that, like, you know, Cardi B's album wasn't a classic, right? Regardless of your opinion on Cardi B, this man had not listened to the album at all. But he had such a strong opinion about this, you know, Afro-Latina woman who's, like, on top right now, right? He had the strongest of opinion about how this album wasn't a classic. And I'm like, yo.
That tone, too, that tries to make you look crazy.
Yo,
like,
yeah.
And settle down.
Yeah,
like,
yo, and I'm getting more and more heated because I'm like, look, she's breaking global records. She's, like, making a mark for women in trap music. She, you know, her album is, like, fire. And he's just like, nah, I don't know, but what's good about it? I'm like, I literally just listed everything. And then he rolled up behind me. He was like, yeah, I think it's got some fire beats and some fire hooks.
I think it's got some good beats, like pretty, like good lyrics. Like she's doing stuff in trap that a woman hasn't done before. She's like creating a whole like movement following. And he's like, you know what? That's all I needed to hear.
Oh my god!
Literally, that's all I needed to hear.
Say no more. That's all I need to hear. I'm like.
There was another time we were arguing too about someone was talking about Kaepernick and why he wasn't getting signed on a team. He was like, "Oh, because asking for too much money."
Yeah, I was like, Michelle's like,
"Oh, he
got blacklisted."
Yeah,
she was saying that, and this dude was like, "I don't know," and I rolled in, and I was like, "Nah, it's because like the owners are like all racist and like they're trying to like blacklist him from the NFL. Like no one wants to sign him because of that." And he's like, "Okay."
Yeah, and you know what? That makes me think of a lot of shit that's being said in hip hop now. Because like in hip hop, they got this little thing going on where it's like respect women. You know what I'm saying? But it's funny because when Salt and Pepper was saying that shit 30 years ago, y'all was like pushing them upside. Man, that shit don't mean shit. Like when TLC was trying to bring that up because it was a song. I can't remember the name of it. It was on TLC's first album. They was talking about a young black girl who was kidnapped and you know was sexually assaulted. And at the time, there was not one rapper that was riding with that, you know what I'm saying, what TLC was saying. Like, you know, black women in hip hop have been saying some of the same shit for years. Yeah. Now, a black man says it in hip hop, oh, everybody is on the road with it now. Yeah. And it's like that's whack to me, you know what I'm saying? Because it even draws down to like a lot of the division and stuff that black men in hip hop try to create amongst black women, you know what I'm saying? And just female, like just women hip hop artists, you know what I'm saying? Like,
'cause everybody nowadays is like, oh, like, of course, like I support women, but like I think there's a difference between like saying you support women and like actually doing stuff to like uplift. Because like they'll be like, oh, I support them, like I'm giving her everything she needs to like be at my side and like stuff like that. They're like, oh, I'm giving like it's like misogynistic like way, instead of like she has this platform, like do her own thing, right? Like be her own person. Right. Doesn't have to be anything doing with a man. Right. Or like me being good so I can give my woman all the tools. She's like, well, no.
Right, exactly. Because it's like, even like that
DJ Khaled.
Oh. No. I don't know why people ever mess with him. I always knew he wasn't cool from the beginning. You aligned yourself with Officer Ricky. I knew you wasn't cool from the beginning. I don't know why people rock with him. Like, but it's just like, even like with Queen Latifah's UNITY. I showed y'all there were rappers out there dissing her off that song because you know she was speaking up about, you know, this domestic abuse and stuff that women go through. And then here comes a rapper, a man, you know, making a diss song towards her because of it. And it's like, that shit is whack, yo. You know what I'm saying? So it's like women have been saying so much of this shit in hip hop, and then now all of a sudden, you know, the new wave is respect women, and it's because men are saying it now, and it's like, this shit's so performative to me, and it makes me realize even more that because I ain't gonna lie, I listen to some very trash hip hop artists. Like I grew up in and around that culture and stuff. You know, from NWA to like freaking Wu-Tang Clan, Mobb Deep, Nas, like Biggie, Pop. You know what I'm saying? DMX, Eminem, all the way to like artists right now. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like I've heard a lot of trash shit, a lot of trash statements. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like
the thing with hip hop. It's like it's really interesting because like it's almost hard to like draw the line between like what's actually like they believe. Like, is this stuff they actually believe, or are they just talking like that because that's kind of like the environment they grew, and they're like kind of talking about what they came up in. Like, I know you like can relate more to that than I can.
I feel like, you know, the thing is, and this is one of the things I was saying, is like when you're in a rap battle, right? It's kind of like everything goes, right? Like all that respectability is out the window,
right?
And there's something kind of like authentic about that, because like you go in, especially as like a female, a woman rapper in a rap battle, right? Like you go in expecting like fucking period jokes, shit like that, but you're fucking right. Like if you're a legit like freestyler, if you're fucking sick with it, then you can just go in and take it and like shoot it right back. And that's kind of like that drive and that energy, like that's where that adrenaline comes from. So I kind of like fuck with that. But I also feel like, I don't know, like people were ragging on like Cardi B, for example, recently in her album about saying that line she had about how basically she caught this girl talking to her man, and she's like, oh, you want to talk to my man, like wake up to Instagram posts of your tits online. And people were like, how could she say that? And for me, it's like, yo, have you heard some of the shit that these men rappers have been saying for years? Like, why do you all care? Like, if you take it with a grain of salt, unless it's proved to be, like, actual harm, like, unless it's proved to be, like, you know, like...
Or I would, where I kind of draw the line is where people start to, like, talk about, like, if you remember when Rick Ross had that line about...
oh, the Molly?
Yeah, when you start talking about stuff like that, then, all right, like, you need to chill out real quick.
I mean, yeah, it's hard. I do think it's complicated, though.
And this is one of the things I don't get it. Because hip-hop and rap is politics. Like, the entire art form is politics. Like, it came from politics, it's about politics, it's still politics. Like, the albums that get the most recognition usually are very political albums. Like, we see the success that Kendrick Lamar has had recently. It's because he's so political. And also because he's good, but because he's so political.
Right, exactly.
And for people to come out and say, in regards to, like, Chris Brown and R. Kelly and Kanye, to separate the music from the politics, or separate, like, the music from, like, you can't.
Right.
You can't separate...
It's hard for people...
a rapper from their rap from politics. Because
each of us, like, has something different in our lives that, like, affects us politically, so I think it's easy for us to say, but I just know a lot of people are like cisgender, like white, like, and it's like it's and they come from like privilege. It's like really hard to understand and like think about how like these behaviors and like supporting them enables this stuff to continue.
But I also want to say like hip hop and rap has been subject to a lot of respectability politics, and that's rooted in racism and that's rooted in classism. So it's like, yeah, like I understand like there is a line. I will draw a line for myself, right? And probably everybody's line is different. But the way I see rap and hip hop like portrayed and treated, and especially like as this kind of like pinnacle of like violence and misogyny, and it's like, yo, we can still talk about that. We can still have that conversation. Yeah, but it is. It's a fucking scapegoat. And for me, it's like I grew up listening to rap and hip hop, and that was very personal. Like you said, like you go through those life experiences, and you're like, you know, sometimes, like, that's how you got through shit. Like, listening to that music, understanding that your life experiences resonate with that.
Yeah. And it's like, the thing is like, that's one thing that hip-hop has always garnered so much, you know, critical acclaim for, is because the genuineness in a lot of the music, whether it was right or wrong, you know, good or bad. You know what I mean? Like, think about it, like, some of these rappers come from legit street backgrounds, you know what I'm saying? Or the stuff like, and I've been in rap battles, you know what I'm saying, where, you know, I just straight up go in on a dude, like, talk about your dead family member or something like that. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, sure, like at the time, like looking back on it, yeah, it was whack. But at the same time, in the heat of that moment, it was just like, you take one of mine, I'm gonna take two of yours. It was like an eye for an eye thing.
And then
basically, Mobb Deep, the infamous. So it's just like, you know.
Then when you leave that circle, it's like done. It's over. Like, it's not like you carry that shit with you.
Right, but it's, you know, at the same time though, it's like, the best hip hop artists, the best battlers have always been the guys who don't necessarily go for the cheap shots. You know what I'm saying? Like, I remember when Jin was popular way back in the day, when he was on 106 in Park, you know, first Asian rapper anybody had ever seen. And I saw so many of these dudes going at the cheap shot. Oh, he's Asian, so let's make some Asian jokes about him. And he had a counter and a rebuttal for every single one of them dudes. And it's like, even when you look at 8 Mile, you know what I'm saying? And it was like, with Eminem and stuff, and they was going like, you know what I'm saying? Well, that's why we, you know what I'm saying, had sex with your girl and stuff, woo, woo, woo. And he was like, yeah, I did do that. I'm still sitting here screaming, fuck the free world. It's like, you know, it's like, those were the best artists, you know what I'm saying, who didn't necessarily go for the cheap shots. And in hip hop and in the rap battle scene, especially right now, it's kind of, honestly, I have to be real, it's difficult for me to watch it because the thing that a lot of people forget is the audience in these rap battles. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of times it's biased because I've seen rap battles that happen between men and women, or a gay guy and a straight guy, and the person, like a woman or that gay dude, like, they'll be saying some real fire shit. But because of the crowd being, you know, cisgender, heterosexual men, they're not feeling it. And it's like, I know what that's about. You know what I'm saying? But this dude to be saying some whack shit, some shit that ain't even all that, like, out of 5 mics, the shit be like a 2.5. And they be like, oh, he said the most crazy shit ever. Gee, my wig just went flying. Like, I can't feel my face right now, Cuddy. But it's just like, but she wasn't even that fire. Gee, it's like, nah. So it's like, yeah.
Oh, no. Someone put that song on yesterday.
Yeah.
I was like, the audacity.
No, they remixed the Poopity Scoop part.
Oh,
it was,
no.
Yeah, it was the whole night. Pretty good fire tracks, and then the Poopity Scoop song came on.
Right. Yeah, and then, you know,
I still can't believe that's the thing that actually happened.
Yeah. And here's one thing I want to point out too, because I've had arguments like this where dudes would be like, you know, why are you always talking about hip hop? Why are you always calling out hip hop? Why are you always, you know what I'm saying dudes is doing this and that shit in hip hop? Yeah, and I tell them first and foremost because hip hop is the #1 culture that I deal with. You know what I'm saying? I'm a part of that culture. So yes, because I'm in that culture, I'm gonna call it out. Can I call out those other cultures? Of course, but I'm not in those cultures first and foremost, and I know that hip hop is not the most problematic culture out there. Because if you listen to some of that shit that is in metal, you know what I'm saying, like grunge,
Manson said in
you know what I mean, or like grindcore and stuff like that. Like
there's a lot of like straight up Nazis and white supremacists.
Yeah,
and a lot of this, like, weird white bullshit.
Right, exactly. So it's like, yeah, I know that shit is whack. You know what I'm saying? And then for people, you know what I'm saying, who aren't, you know what I'm saying, black, who aren't brown, who aren't in the culture, yeah, I'll tell you straight up, stay in your lane and be careful. Because I remember when Macklemore put out Same Love, right? Mm-hmm. You know, a lot of people was like talking about how hip hop is homophobic and this and that. It's like, okay, but what are you doing to check the other genres that you listen to every day? Because you're sitting here talking shit about hip hop, but I don't see you sitting here talking shit about this Guns N' Roses album. Yeah, mind you, I listen to some of that shit. So
it's weird.
Yeah, so it's like
some of that old school rock is really very disturbing.
Yeah,
You
so it's
more about that than me.
I can't relate.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and during the 80s, people were doing some fucked up shit.
Yeah.
Like, old white people music is very strange. Very strange.
Right.
It's like interesting to me to see how like hip hop, because like for me, I don't care who listens to like hip hop. I want everyone to enjoy it. Mm-hmm. But like my problem comes when there's like people out there listening to it, but like I don't know like really how to say it, but like they don't like politically represent what they should like. It's like if you see like a Trump like supporter going, "Oh, I'm gonna go listen to some rap," like no. That's not for you.
Yo, there was a video on Hip Hop DX some time ago, and it was basically about this thing called hip hop, which is does hip hop have a right to exist in hip hop music?
No,
it's a bunch of white right-wing dudes rapping, you know what I'm saying, or like the stereotypical rednecks, you know what I'm saying, rapping with the Confederate flags and videos and shit, you know, dissing liberals and Democrats or, you know, people
they call it hip hop?
Yes, they call it hip hop.
Of all the things.
Because like that is like cultural appropriation. Eminem, on the other hand, I think Eminem really respects the culture. I've never seen him say the N-word at all. Mm-hmm. And he's out here like for the politics. So like that's how I kind of like think of the comparison in my mind. Like between those dudes clearly like cultural appropriation.
And like, you know,
and
Eminem
Eminem's
has
like respectful of the culture.
Well, Eminem is like a series of problems.
Oh,
Also,
yeah,
problematic
yeah.
space, but he was invited into that space as opposed to like hip or pop rock.
They're trying to
It
take
was-
it. That was my problem too when like Iggy Azalea came out.
Oh,
like
no.
great, like whatever, you're like making music cool, but
I thought
like
we all
also
agreed
it's
we
a
never
little like
talked
J.
about
Cole said, like there's a little bit of like some cultural appropriation here. Like you're kind of taking like rap and like kind of morphing it into like this poppy, like taking away from like what its roots were.
But she went so far as to, like literally put on black scent.
Yeah, that too. And I'm
And
like,
she's like some white blonde. Isn't she from like Australia?
that's like a whole nother
Yeah.
like that's a whole nother
Yeah, and
conversation.
it's kind of messed up because I remember when there was a whole discussion going on around that because you had some artists was like, well, you got to give it a pass for it because, you know, think about it, like most rap artists don't use their everyday normal voice to rap. But it's like there's a difference because when Be Real from Cypress Hill is rapping, he's still, the persona that he puts on in his music is still relative to the person that he is and to the culture of hip hop. Iggy Azalea is like, 1 minute you want to be a part of rap, but then you want to keep yourself away from rap. Like, I'm not like those people over there type shit.
That's
That's the problem. You know what I'm saying? It was the same shit with Miley Cyrus. And the worst part about it was dudes in the culture putting these people on. That was the fucked up part. Because see, like with Eminem, like, yo, if you feel like Eminem ain't trash, like something wrong with you. But like, you know what I'm saying? I remember when I first heard Low Down and Dirty off the Slim Shady EP. And that it was the third verse, it was the last 4 lines. And he was basically acknowledging how like a lot of radio shows at that time were just trying to make $1 off of black music. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, oh, okay, I see what you want. And then like if you listen to I think it's the Eminem show album, track 2, I believe, White America. That and then he had an interview with Sway. You know what I'm saying?
But that's what I was saying about that is all these like Eminem fans came out after he put that like mediocre like freestyle by Donald Trump, and they're like, I'm not gonna listen to you anymore. I'm like, what? He's been talking about this forever. Like this is not new. Like
they're probably the Eminem fans who just listen to like Not Afraid, his radio songs. Like,
they listen to the real trash shit of Eminem.
Yeah.
The shit that was off the Slim Shady LP. They're the Slim Shady fans. They're not
at the end of the day, like the way like hip hop is like expression of like black like emotion and joy. It's like an expression of revolution. It's like expression of like defiance. And at the end of the day, I think it's like it belongs like to the black community, and it's for other people to enjoy definitely. But like, it's just like I keep thinking about. I know you think the new J. Cole is overrated, but like that song he had in 1985 where he's talking about Lil Pump and like this is like what the white people want to see you do. They want to see you dance around. Like they want to put on your culture, and then they want to like walk away from it and be like, oh well, that's them. But I'll just like I still like to engage in it for fun, but like I distance myself too.
And even still, it's like it's a lot of shucking and jiving because you have some artists, you know what I'm saying, they just speaking from what they come from, you know, whether it was trash or not, you know what I'm saying, like 21 Savage, you know, or like better yet, NWA, you know what I'm saying, talk about the streets, fuck the police and all that, or like, you know, a lot of rappers from the West Coast at the time in the early 90s, there was a lot of gangbanging rap music coming out. Those are just talking in real life. But then you have other artists who would sit here and talk this violent shit, this misogynistic, homophobic shit. That's my phone. And my bad, y'all. PS4 notifications. But that's another culture I'm a part of. Later on that though.
We could have a whole segment.
But we should have a whole thing on gaming.
Oh, put me in.
Yeah, I can all day.
But it's just like what was I about to say? Like, you know, you have some people who say like misogynistic, homophobic stuff, and they say it because, you know, record execs at these companies tell them that's what sells. You know what I'm saying? The shock value. You know what I mean? And then it's like then you have some artists who will grow. You know what I'm saying? They'll say something that's problematic. You know, people will call it out like, "Hey, yo, you shouldn't say that." You know what I'm saying?
But if you have enough of a platform where your shit's gonna sell regardless, you know, like why not be the change that challenges that? You know what I mean? Like if you have that agency, you have that power. Like why not be the person to be like, you know what? Like I'm not gonna put some transphobic shit in my like lyrics. Like,
right? Because a lot of times they fear of losing that main fan base they built their careers off of. Because it's like, for example, I'll always bring up Macklemore when it comes to like queer people being involved in hip hop. Because first and foremost, queer people do have a space in hip hop. They was there since the beginning. Whether people or not like to acknowledge that.
Shout out Brockhampton.
Yeah, Brockhampton, cold as fuck. Cupcake, cold as fuck. You know what I'm saying? But Queen Latifah, yeah, because they tried to ruin her career by saying she was, you know what I'm saying, queer and stuff, and she was like, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what you're gonna use to try to like destroy my career. That shit's gonna, yeah. So it's just like whatever. But it's like when Macklemore put out "Same Love," right? Like, you know, a lot of dudes in the culture didn't want to have nothing to do with that song, and because it really exposed a lot of the homophobia, queerphobia that was in hip hop. And when he won that award, it was like it was conflicting because a part of me was like, he won that shit because he's white, because that album wasn't even all good. But then,
you're talking about the Grammys when he won Best
over,
Hip Hop Album?
Yeah, he won over Kendrick Lamar that year.
Like,
and he sent Kendrick Lamar that message, that phony ass text message.
Yeah.
He should have won. That's why I don't fuck with Macklemore. Not because of like, he's just performative as fuck to me. He's this white guy that's getting credit for saying shit that other fucking rappers have been saying. He's so performative.
It is, but like at the same time, I think it's almost like when you have like a white person saying those things, I feel like white people are gonna listen that much more. It's kind of like when a man is calling out another man for like saying something sexist, like a woman could say it and like he might not hear it, but if another man says it, it's like, oh.
But does that make it okay? Like, does that make it fine then? Like,
right, because like here's the thing. Here's the thing. Like the thing with Macklemore is like when he said that, when he made that song, queer folks in hip hop had been begging, literally, for rappers, but like dominant rappers to show, like, you know what I'm saying, pay dues to the queer folks who have helped hip hop. And these dudes was like, nah. Like the only artist I can think of is crazy as it sounds, that I can think of that has ever spoke about queer issues, and he said it in a few lines, was Ice-T. It was on his OG Original Gangsta album. It was on the song Straight Up Nigga. And basically the lyrics went like, I know I'm not gonna get radio play for saying this, so I'm gonna say it. She wanna be less, he wanna be gay. Well, that's your business, I'm straight, so nigga, have it your way. And it was like, that was free, as opposed to a lot of the shit that dudes like Dr. Dre, Ice Cube even were saying around the time, because they was saying some real like homophobic type shit back in the day, because it was real Hotep. Keep in mind, like this is around the time where like dudes like Farrakhan and Khalid Muhammad and a lot of, you know what I'm saying, that 7% of shit was getting, you know what I'm saying, represented in the hip hop. And it was like, people have been asking for hip hop artists to speak up on this stuff and be vulnerable and open space for these people. Nobody wanted to do it. Macklemore came out and made that song, and it was like, as performative as it might have been, as much privilege as he had making that song, and as much fans as he got from it, it's like, yeah, it hurts now because it took a white dude to say it. When we've been asking y'all this since the beginning.
But beyond that, it wasn't just a white dude; it was a straight dude. It was a cis dude. It's like, yeah, they've been begging for that platform, but they've been begging for their own voice in that platform, not for somebody else to
not for a cookie party to come.
Yeah.
Right, yeah, I agree. Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, like I get it, I understand it. On one hand, you know, someone got to say it, but why not queer people? Why not queer
absolutely,
rappers? Like, you know,
I think we're like getting there. Like, because I don't know. I feel like before, like, there wasn't a lot of artists that, like, in rap that I knew of that were openly gay. But now you got, like you say, Cupcake, you got, like, Brockhampton. Like, these people are, like, you hear their names. Like, like, they have, like, clout.
Frank Ocean.
Like.
If I can shout out one of my children, CJ Run.
Cool. For sure. Definitely. So it's just like, you know, I'm really looking forward to that. You know what I'm saying? Seeing that in hip-hop, because, like, one of my favorite songs, like, I mean, I don't think any of the people that participate in this song is queer, but it just, you know, I'm speaking to the concept of, you know what I'm saying, people being represented in hip hop that never had that kind of representation before. Like for me, the hip hop version of Ladies Night from, I think, like 97 or 98, it's one of my favorite songs of all time. It's a bunch of women. It's like the Brat, Missy Elliott, Left Eye, Lil Kim, Angie Martinez, you know what I'm saying? They killed that song, and it was like a ladies anthem. I love that fucking song because never before had you seen that in hip hop where the rap song it was just based and centered around women. I want to see that in hip hop for queer folks. You know what I'm saying? By queer folks.
Or even queer women, like, you know, like a multitude of different, like, intersections.
And trans folks. You know,
trans, yes.
I will be the first to admit that I'm not particularly adjacent to hip hop.
No, not exactly so.
But like, and I will say, like, yeah, the black music that I grew up around was significantly older. Like, I grew up around a lot of funk and a lot of Motown.
Right.
But the circles that I run in, activist-wise, have a lot of trans-identified hip hop artists and rappers.
Right.
And their stuff is really, really good.
Oh yeah, I've seen who's that one person that's like really tall that's always performing? There was that I forget their name. I can't think of it.
I don't know.
They were at the Dyke March and they were at this other event we went to.
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
But I was like, okay, this is kind of
hype. Yeah. We're gonna do some research. But I do want to say that we're well over our time now.
Oh yes, we are.
I think we should end by everybody naming their top 3 or top 5 favorite
no.
hip hop artists.
Oh no, don't call me like that.
Problematic or not.
Oh no.
I'll give you what my list is / was in no particular order. For me, it's got to go Nas, Kanye. He's off though. He's off now though, but he was on there. Young Jeezy for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I love Young Jeezy. Kendrick and Drake.
Well, that was more than the top 3.
I was giving my top 5, but then I said we got ghosted. So now I have an open spot on there because Kanye is canceled for my list. Nas is on the verge of being canceled for my list. So
I mean, you pretty much took a couple of mine already. Nas for sure. Kanye. I mean, unless something changes with Kanye, he's gonna be taken off the list. But Kanye has always been my problematic fave. Cardi B right now for sure. I'm always gonna fucking shout out. Any woman in rap or hip hop. But yeah, Cardi B is probably in my top 5. I would say Kendrick. And Kendrick, yeah, I know.
Wow, you have been in an evolution because when we started dating, you were like, Kendrick, whatever. Like, when we started listening to him more, you're like, okay.
And you know, like even though he's not explicitly and exclusively only rap or hip hop, Childish Gambino for sure, on my top 5. So.
All right, my top 5. Tupac.
We're talking about all time?
Yeah.
If it's all time. No. If it's relevant, if it's right now.
I was saying all
if
time.
it's right now, then I would say, for me, I'll put Cardi B on that list. I'll put Kendrick Lamar, Freddie Gibbs. Then I'll put, I think his name is Kevin from Brockhampton.
Oh, Kevin Abstract?
Yeah, Kevin Abstract from Brockhampton. And then I'm going to show some local love. I'm going to give it to Cupcake.
Cupcake, yeah. Cupcake's a great performer.
Like, I'm trying to rack my brain of like hip hop that I've actually listened to.
Well, you know what? We won't subject you to
that. I will say I got to shout out one of my babies again, CJ Run. They're on Spotify. They're fantastic. They're a black, queer, trans artist who raps about being black and queer and trans. Right. They're fantastic. You should all check out their stuff. CJ Run on Spotify, SoundCloud, and Facebook. They're fantastic.
One more time.
CJ,
fantastic?
Yeah, they're fantastic. they're my baby, so I gotta say that they're fantastic. But they're also like legitimately fantastic. And they tour sometimes. They're up in Chicago a lot because they go to school downstate. Yeah. I have a lot of love for them, and their music is really, really good. Yeah.
And I stand for Chicago like rappers. They're, I mean, honestly, like the underground, like queer, like you know the.
We just saw last week. We saw Rick Wilson. He was really good.
Yeah, performed at the Breathing Room and then was on Windy City Live like the next day or something. But yeah, there's a lot of Chicago rappers. Sean Peace, check out Sean Peace, a friend of mine, also a really great rapper.
This guy here needs to drop a mixtape.
Yeah. Whenever Dom actually like grows a pair and we'll be having him back on the show. So
for sure.
Yeah, you did.
Okay.
All right, so thank you again for joining us.
Yes, thank you for catching TacoBagel on our fun Sunday TacoBagel.
Yeah, come through again. You know what I'm saying? Represent for my people. You know what I'm saying? Rocking with my homegirl Stephanie.
Goodbye. Goodbye.
Off top, baby.
See you next.